Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to this live stream. It's the first live stream that Louisa and I are doing in quite a long while, actually. By the way, Louisa, welcome to the show.
Yay, yay. Nice to be back with you, Helen. I love lives because we get questions and there's community interaction. It's always great. So thanks for having me back. And I look forward to seeing, what happens. What questions we get. It'll be so much fun. How are you?
Absolutely. So I know that it's 10 a.m. here in the UK as we are recording this right now. Some people might still be in bed. I don't know. Some people are still knocking around somewhere. Hopefully we'll get quite a bit of engagement today with some astrology questions as well as some health questions. For those of you that haven't seen our astrology updates yet, I would like to welcome my very good friend and my personal astrologer, Louisa Tanner-Monson. Louisa, once again, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. It's always lovely to hang out with you, Helen.
I know, it's always so exciting to hang out with you as well. You have no idea how much I so look forward to our astrology updates and our catch-ups. So what have you been up to since the last update?
Oh, well, I've been busy recording because there's been quite a few planetary shifts. And so, I've been caught up with that a little bit. I've launched a show since we last spoke. So I'm now doing a day, I say daily, it's Monday to Thursday. I do a half-hour kind of astrology hangout with the following day's forecast. And just talk about what's going on currently in astrology. And there's quite a nice flow with the community. So I'm answering questions and just having a laugh, really. And then on Sundays, so tonight, for instance, at 6:00, I do a big roundup where I do the forecast for the week ahead and also look at 3 charts from people in the community. So on top of that, and my usual work, and also parents visiting, and also the sun shining in Portugal, we've been to the beach quite a bit, which has been glorious. But I have had I started at 5 a.m. 3 mornings this week just because I've been so busy. So yeah, it's been pretty busy. And of course, with the eclipse that we just had and our Mercury retrograde, all of the inquiries are coming in at the moment. People really want to, get some clarity on where they're going. So yeah, it's pretty big, pretty heavy stuff at the moment. Have you felt it?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, I've been like this.
I have. The energy has been very, very heavy. And regards to waking up really early, welcome to my world.
But you choose to do that for your wellness, don't you?
For my wellness, and also because I've been so busy and,
Okay. Yeah.
trying to get everything sorted and done within a time period, a given time period can be quite challenging as well.
Yes.
So I have recently relaunched the Venus Health, the 7-day Venus Health Detox.
Yay.
And yay! And I launched the Venus Health Kitchen as well, which has now got over 170 videos in it of really healthy food video recipes, really short, quick and easy to follow recipes as well. And yesterday I added some videos for remedies that you can do at home. So natural health remedies for various ailments and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just about food remedies now. It's not just about food recipes now. That's Mercury retrograde messing with me again. And of course, I've relaunched the Venus Health podcast as well. So yeah, there's been a lot going on. So I really, really needed to get up at 3:00 in the morning and, just get myself spiritually.
I mean, I imagine you at like 5 a.m. kind of, I'm trying to do a yoga pose, but my camera's not wide enough. But like with my hands right out on my knees, Yeah. You're getting up at 5 a.m. to work as well, or 3 a.m.
Yeah, 5 a.m. to set the intentions for my day. And I actually did a podcast on how to create the future that you want now. And it's all about
It's what we
intention
need.
setting. Yeah, it's all about intention setting, and it's all about what we need to do, because some of us put affirmations out there and we're wanting to manifest things, but we're too lazy to do the work that it actually takes in order to do this. So I thought I would do us all a favor and just go through the points that we need to be considering when we are setting our manifestations and our intentions and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, just like yourself, I have been incredibly busy.
Oh
Oh,
wow, LinkedIn. We're connected
yes,
to LinkedIn. That's great.
we are live on LinkedIn as well. I'm not sure who this is, but saying, Helen, good morning and much love. So whoever you are, by the way, good morning
I know
and
why
much
this
love to
is.
you too.
When people are connecting via Facebook or LinkedIn, but they haven't allowed some kind, I think it's some kind of permission, then they just come up
Right.
as a random user.
All
So
right.
hopefully they'll share their name with us. It'd be wonderful to say hello.
Yes, it would be lovely to know who the LinkedIn user is that's saying good morning to us, but good morning wherever you are in the world, and grand rising to all of you as well.
Yeah.
So, Louisa, after all of that, shall we start and take a deep dive into what May has got in store for us? I know that April has been a bit of an so far. As we said, the
Yeah.
energies have been really heavy, really intense. And you know what? You weren't wrong about the first, second, and third week in April. So we're heading into the fourth week, and this is supposed to be a fairly emotionally steady week. So let's just see
Yeah,
how that.
I think that this week we're currently in is the steadiest out of April, and I've got a similar approach to looking at May. Actually, I've separated it down into the 4 weeks, and I've done my own update, and I called it something like returning to zero. I actually wanted to call it ground zero, but I thought, oh my god, that might trigger something, and I just don't want to go there. But
Yeah.
essentially, we've got 3 massive weeks and then one that's kind of cool. So just give you the highlights. First of all, we've got Jupiter changing signs next month, and Jupiter changes signs once a year, so he's going into the sign of Taurus. Sorry, it just occurred to me, I wonder if planets have pronouns. I just assumed like we associate genders with planets. And it just occurred to me, oh God, I hope Jupiter's okay with me calling him him. So anyway, bit of fun.
Yeah, this is the kind of world we're living in now. It's a little bit crazy, but hey ho.
Yeah, so we've got Jupiter changing signs on the 16th.
Yes.
And then 4 days later, we've got Mars changing signs into the sign of Leo, and he's a he as well. Mars is very strident and strong. And then we've got the Sun changing signs on the 21st into the sign of Gemini. Oh, I forgot. We've got Venus changing signs on the 7th. Now, Mercury usually changes signs during the month, but he's retrograde at the moment, so he's not going to. He's just like retracting his steps at the moment, and he's going to be retrograde until I think the 15th, and then like Jupiter changes sign. So it's a lot, and we've got the closing of the first part of the eclipses this year. So we had our solar eclipse on the 20th of April, and then they always correspond, or they usually correspond in pairs. And so we've got the other side of this pair closing it off on the 5th, which is like the lunar eclipses are full moons. So we've got a full moon on the 5th, and it's going to be quite a big one. It's got teeth. It's pretty strong. So, that's a kind of highlight. But we've got on the 22nd, and if you're happy for me to talk through it all like week by week, I will. But like as a highlight on the 22nd, so we've got like the new moon on the 19th, Mars changing signs on the 20th. We've got this huge aspect of Mars in opposition to Pluto on the 21st, Sun changing signs. And then on the 22nd, we've got 4 planets at 0 degrees, all making aspects to each other. And then
Wow.
Jupiter is at 1 degree. And so essentially it's like having 5 planets at 0 degrees in signs. And they're all offsetting against each other. And that's why I called it ground zero, because they're all at 0. But yeah, it's pretty big, and I'll happily talk about that with a bit more depth as we go through. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a big month. I really see it as like clearing away the old patterns. Like When we have things in the last degree of a sign, it's an anuetic degree, it's known as. It's very much about us kind of rounding up on our karma and clearing the old patterns away, really sweeping them away. And then, you know, we've got like a load of stuff at 0 degrees, which really shows us starting something new. So it's like we had these 2 eclipses, and then, you know, a short while later with the next new moon, we come into this 0 time. So it does feel very exciting.
Yeah,
And
it does. It really does feel very exciting. And I have to say, I was really, really excited for, this, for this particular update, more so than usual. No idea why. But as you say, people are moving towards more wanting to know about how they can realign themselves in terms of their purpose, and they want to know what's going on in their lives and how to better navigate their lives as well. There has been a massive, massive calling for that, because almost everyone I'm speaking to is talking about some form of realignment that they're working on with themselves. And, you know, one thing I've found actually so far is, especially on Facebook, there are so many people that are just literally opening up and laying themselves bare and just being honest about, you know, who they are and any issues that they are perhaps struggling with, and just really laying it out there. And it's so beautiful to see that, you know, we're shifting from like really angry posts about everything that's going on in the world to being more heart-centered and, you know, sort of more soul-centered. So that's really beautiful. So I'm really excited to see how that is actually tying in with the upcoming astrology for the month of May. So please do take it away week by week. Let's have it.
Okay, dokes. So week 1 is fairly benign. It's got the big full moon in, so, which is the eclipse. I mean, we start off the month with a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury, and so that's really bringing us back into our personalities, and we're a bit more chatty, even though it's all in the sign of Taurus, and Mercury's not that chatty in Taurus, but it feels like we are wanting to talk more practically, which is interesting, and in a sort of grounded way. And then as the week goes on, we've got quite a lot of energy between the 4th and the 5th. So the 4th, we've got this Venus-Neptune square, which is really challenging our ideas on boundaries and love, because Neptune doesn't really have any boundaries and can like let in all sorts of riffraff. Venus is all about flow and being loving and whatnot. But the two of them are very kind of, they both carry a loving vibration, but they're kind of in square to each other. So actually what I think is going on that day, especially seeing as the next day Venus is in a lovely sort of connection with Jupiter, which is expanding the love. I think we're not using our discernment. So on the 4th, my big like hint really is use discernment with who you're connecting with, especially if you're getting into any sexual liaisons, because I think, you know, there could be I don't know what day it falls on. What day is the 4th on? Because if it's like at a weekend, you know, it's the kind of setup that people would have like for a bit of fun and then go, oh God, what did I do? You know, we feel so magnificent in the moment, you know.
And
So
you know, I actually did a tarot reading this morning. I think it was either for the Leo collective or the general collective, and discernment was the card that came out.
yeah, I'm really not surprised.
So that's just it pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and you know, to be fair, I can't blame anyone for wanting to connect, because we are in really kind of disassociated times and disenfranchised times, and I think people are yearning for a real heart connection. And I just think around the 4th and 5th, it could be really difficult to know if someone is just swept up with the emotion or is really feeling it. So I would say, you know, if you're single at that time, ask some really kind of practical questions, you know, with this like Mercury in Taurus, very practical. He's retrograde as well, so you can't really trust everyone. Ask a few more questions, like really think about what outcome you've got, and then make sure you're asking the right questions. And if you get any red flags at all, listen to them. I mean, if you're a creative, a musician, for instance, or an artist or a healer, you know, it's going to be great. You're going to get swept up with the emotions. And then on the 5th, we've also got the lunar eclipse, which is a full moon in the sign of Scorpio. Now it's pretty strong, and the moon and the sun are in a square with at the top Black Moon Lilith, and this is known as a T-square, and they're really quite difficult to work through.
Yeah.
But Black Moon Lilith is it's really talking about us coming to terms with where we felt suppressed. So you can imagine the kind of energy that's going to come out of that.
Yeah.
In fact, I recorded an eclipse update, you know, to give a feeling for what the message of the eclipses were, you know, from the 20th of April until the 5th of May. And I called it Clash of the Goddesses, because I really think this particular 2-week cycle is really about understanding what it is to be a woman. It starts off with like difficulties with Eris, which is the goddess of discord. You know, she's like the baby sister of Pluto. I mean, she wants to really kind of cut people up, you know, if they don't respect her femininity, if they exclude her. And then Black Moon Lilith is kind of like, okay, I see that's painful for me. I now need to integrate it. So we've got an opportunity to integrate on the 5th. But I still think lots of people probably won't. I think it's going to be a bit too hair-raising for people. So there's a lot of women things going on. It's not surprising that we're hearing in the news, you know, about things, you know, like, you know, competitive sports and gender issues. And, you know, there's just so much about gender and identity politics at the moment. And I think that's really encapsulated. I think it's going to blow up by the 5th anyway. And then on the 7th, we've got the Venus going into Cancer, which would be really nice, you know, and we'll want to connect with real people. Oh, Sarah, hey.
Thanks for this.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It's lovely to have you watching us. This is my good friend Helen. Trying to think the right way.
Whichever one, I guess.
Helen, she's great. And if you're new to Helen's work, she is awesome when it comes to all things natural and health related. It's great to have you watching us. I forgot, you know, because I'm an expat living in Portugal, I forgot it's the coronation, isn't it, on the 6th?
Oh, well, yeah. You know what? I just forgot in general, because I don't necessarily these things. I'm really not into it. So, and I've been busy as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more to life than that. But do you know what? I wonder, like, have they sacked all their astrologers or something? Or is there something their astrologers know that I don't know? Because why would they choose that day to do a coronation of a king? That doesn't look very stable. Like, you know,
my intuition says that something major is going to happen on that day, and that's probably why they chose that date. I don't know what that something major is, so please don't send messages asking me.
I think that day's been picked. I mean, obviously it's been picked for a reason, because
that is the day from LinkedIn.
It's been picked for a reason, hasn't it?
Yeah,
and like if you were starting something on that day, I don't think it's going to have long-term success necessarily. You know, I mean, Mercury's retrograde, not a great time to sign any kind of contract, like a job, like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, especially one about his birthright. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say a job
after eclipse. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in that role for very long. I really don't. So either people have picked that deliberately because that's the outcome that they want, and I just don't know. It makes no sense to me astrologically.
Yeah, I hear you. Totally hear you on that one. But you know what? We should just see. We'll wait and see what happens on that date. But as you say, it's not the best of dates to actually pick a coronation. And
no, I mean, I'm actually going to do a video showing a couple of other coronation dates to show, you know, what court astrologers look for in those kinds of things, and then compare it to that day, because we're going to see some big differences, I'm sure. It's like starting a business or launching a product. You want the best kind of energy on that day to LinkedIn.
We all feel the same. Yes, we do. I'm sure we're all resonating on some level, aren't we, on this one?
Yeah, definitely. So that's week 1 in a nutshell. You know, I think there's a raise of emotion, like we're starting to feel emotions again, and we might get swept up in them. That's kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah. And, as you said about week one, using discernment is absolutely key. If you see something that does not necessarily resonate with you, don't buy into it. There is so much fear mongering going on at the moment. There is so much disinformation going around on social media as well.
Yeah.
So if it's not resonating with you, just leave it where it is. You don't necessarily need to interact with it by way of commenting, because you never know, you could be starting an argument with someone, and it's not the energy that you really want in week one. You want to be really protecting your energy as much as possible. I'm going to give you an example of, there's been a lot of information going around, and I'm sure most of you watching this right now or listening to the podcast will be familiar with a text message that has been doing the rounds since last week, whereby people are talking about the EAS testing of mobile phones
Oh,
happening
right.
at 3 p.m. today.
What?
And yeah, by the way, 3 p.m. today,
Oh,
my Sunday podcast goes out.
yeah. Actually, I think I might have received something about that. Is it to try and get people to switch off their alerts?
So basically, it's supposed to be an emergency broadcasting system, and to alert us to when there is any emergencies nearby, such as flooding or major fires or anything like that. Now, a lot of people have actually said, oh, switch off your mobile phone, switch off all your alerts and this, that, and the other because of the radiation, blah, blah, blah. Now, I am choosing not to buy into that fear. I am choosing to basically protect myself with the light energy that I have access to. And we all have access to this because we are all light beings.
Yeah.
Call in your divine protection. Stop buying into the fear of everything that is going on in the world. And, I'm not telling you what to do, by the way. So if you want to switch your phones off, then switch your phones off. But I'm just saying, don't buy into the fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
And
have
I wouldn't want to switch off an alert system. I wonder why anyone would recommend you do that.
This is the first time that we've had an alert system in the UK, an emergency alert system in the UK. Now, you and I have done a bit more of a background research, so we understand a little bit more about this than maybe the people that are.
Well, there might be some important information in those alerts, right?
There could be some important information in these alerts. So, and just as our LinkedIn feedback is coming through, use discernment. And just as we were saying, use discernment. And also,
Oh, hi, Owen. Nice to see you here. Yes, 100 million pounds.
elsewhere. Yeah, so you've got people in the world that are starving, and not just the world, here in the UK on our own doorstep. There are people that are homeless and starving and everything else, but we're spending 100 million pounds on a coronation at a time like this. I think it's absolute madness. I don't know about any of you guys and what you think, but yeah, it's crazy. LinkedIn user, the podcast is on Spotify, and it starts at I'm uploading a new podcast there at 3 p.m. today, as well as this is going up as a podcast too, as well as a video here on social media. So and we have another comment. Jay Atkins, turning off my phone completely.
Jay is really switched on anyway. So if something's going down, Jay will know about it anyway, whether she's got a phone on or not.
Awesome. It's been tested in other countries. Yes, it has been tested in other countries, and they haven't all reacted in the way that the UK is reacting. I have seen these tests being put out in other countries. Canada has had them, and I think nearly all of the states in the United States have had them. If you are from the States and you're watching, please do feel free to correct me on this. We have another comment here. I think the post was for women or men who have a second phone due to abuse in the home and have a second phone for emergencies. Okay, yeah.
Thanks for that, Owen.
Thanks for that. Amazing. Okay, so let's get on with week 2. What do you have for us for week 2?
Okay, week 2 is our benign, kind of easy, like playful week. A week where we can build some things and have a bit more spontaneity. So on the 9th, we've got the sun in a conjunction with Uranus. So we're all feeling kind of like spontaneous and chilled and excited, maybe a bit shocked. It feels like there's something really new going on, and that's always, I think, a good feeling. And then 12th to the 13th, we've got some, I think, quite nice aspects. So we've got Mercury in a sextile to Saturn, which is going to help us to really get clear about our thinking, really help us with our, be articulate and on point. We've also got Mercury in a lovely sextile to Venus, which is really sisterly and brotherly. Like, I think people are going to be joining, linking up, and just enjoying being connected again. I think people have forgotten what it feels like and how natural humans can be. I know lots of people say get off your devices and stuff, and yeah, I do think that, but at the same time, I can see that like for instance, if my kids are on devices, when we go out and play, they are just out there. They remember exactly who they are, and they remember to connect anyway. So, but I just see it's a time of connection, and I like that. And then we've got Venus in a trine Saturn.
Sorry, speaking of the time of connection, it really ties in very well with Mercury retrograde, which is reconnecting. And yeah, a lot of people do say get off your mobile phones. I am one of those people. I have times for when I will use my mobile phone and times when I won't. I have a cut-off time, so I'm not on it all the time. We need to use the mobile phones, obviously, to connect with people, and also for our businesses when we're interacting.
I can't work without my beaten up, smashed mobile phones. Look how many. This is the alert, isn't it, that people are talking about? Can you see all the scratches and cracks on this thing? Hard floors in Portugal. Oh my God.
I don't know if you can see mine, but I've dropped it several times, and I just now really cannot be bothered to actually replace it. I'll just wait for a new contract to kick in or whatever.
Helen, it looks like you live in Portugal. I mean, everybody's phones like that because we've all got stone floors, and so you drop it, it's gone.
Well, I have no excuse. I have an amazing phone wallet that every time I drop my phone, and it's one of those that you close, but every time I drop my phone, it somehow opens itself up and my phone lands on its face. So you know what?
I don't know. It is what it is. It's I don't know. So long as I can still play Wordle, I'm happy. Anyway, so for week 2, it's pretty chill. And it's good because we're building intimacy with people, we're building trust, and I'm all for that. We're together and we're strong. It's good.
Awesome.
So that's when we can really go. So if you're planning a few days away, that's the time to do it.
Week 2 is the time to do it. Right? Okay, that's cool. Lead wallet?
Lead, I think that is.
Lead.
We'll make a Faraday cage around it.
Sorry, I'm African. English isn't my first language. Nah, I'm kidding. I am African though, and I do speak really good English. I'm just kidding.
Well, that's not the same. I mean,
lead wallet. Yeah, lead wallet sounds good. That's I think I need one of those. Like one of those army cases.
Like a Faraday cage to put your stuff in. So if there's an EMP, which is an actual real possibility, an electromagnetic pulse could take out all of our technology for miles and miles. I mean, can you imagine the devastation that would happen if all technology was suddenly stopped? Like, you'd have hospitals, loads of places in absolute chaos. But I do quite like the idea of having a Faraday cage for our stuff. But you know what? I read something the other day. I wonder if any of your viewers know anything about it. But in the 80s, I remember a lot going on about lead being taken out of paint and lead being taken out of pencils and things like that, because apparently it's so bad for our health, even though, like, for years we'd all been chewing our pencils and not had any problems. And then I was I was in a thread with people who protect themselves from different frequencies. You know, people that are protecting themselves from EMFs and things like that, who
Yeah.
said, well, lead was purposefully demonized and also taken out, because the lead paint that we had in all our homes when we were growing up actually kept out a lot of the technology, a lot of the waves and frequencies. And so it's like there's nothing really to stop it now. You know, where lead's been removed, we're able to receive a lot more. So interesting. I don't know. And I
That's,
haven't read up any more about it, but I just thought, ooh,
you
that
know,
looks like a deep dive for another day.
I saw something about the lead paint being taken out, but I hadn't gone that deep down the
Yeah.
rabbit hole.
No, well, I haven't really gone. It's just I'm on a couple of mailing lists on how to protect yourself from different, frequencies and stuff at home. You know, because a lot of people worry about smart meters and Wi-Fi and things like that. So I think it's got something. You know, it's a related subject.
Just giving a shout out to our LinkedIn viewer in, I know they put initially Flint, Michigan, but then it was very quickly corrected with Flint, Michigan.
God, I mean, it must be really early there, because I've got a client in Michigan, and is it 5 or 6 hours behind at the moment? Oh my God.
Yeah,
Mornings at this time. Are you up at 5 a.m. to do work like us?
yeah, I have quite a number of followers in Michigan, well, in Michigan, but in the States in
Yeah.
general, across the board. So it's really lovely for you guys to be up so early just to
Yeah,
watch.
it's amazing. Thank you
Watch
so
the
much.
update. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and we really do appreciate anybody that's watching and listening to this right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that's week 2.
Mhm.
How about week 3? What?
Okay, we're getting down to business now. This is the I think this is the most important week, like week 5. Week 5? I just made up a week. We
That
need a
was a
week 5.
quantum leap.
It's the 5th month. Week 3 then, from the 15th to the 21st, we've got 3 planet changes. So we've got Jupiter actually going into the sign of Taurus, followed 4 days later by Mars going into the sign of Leo, and then we've got the Sun going into the sign of Gemini. I mean, the Sun changes signs every month anyway. It's not a big deal. But before that all happens, how it all starts off is we've got Mars making a trine to Neptune, which I think is quite good for creative types and empaths and psychics and stuff. We'll be given some lead in our pencils, so to speak. And that's also happening when Mercury starts going direct again. So I think our intuition is back online. It's like we've been sort of like cut off a little bit, but we're back online with our intuition, and things should start to smooth out. Then Jupiter goes into Taurus. Now, Taurus is a sign to do with money and resources and wealth and stability. We've already got Uranus going through that, and it's been going through there since 2018. And Uranus in Taurus, like the last time it happened, was when we were having to ration, when there was a depression, when people had ration books. So like currency changed. And in my videos from 2018, and they're on my on my YouTube channel, I'm actually talking ahead for this time right now and saying, I think, Helen's gone. um, I'm actually saying that currency changes and the way we use currency. And so when Jupiter goes into the sign of Taurus, I think there's going to be a real sort of currency reset. I think the way we see money is changing now. Anyone that's awake and aware will already be noticing that in the media they're talking about all sorts of electronic digital currency. Now, I've heard different versions of them. So you might hear that there's a version that might save humanity. You might hear that there's a version that might imprison humanity. But there's the energy of digital currency. Now, if you don't want digital currency, you're going to have to keep using physical currency and really do it as a practice. But I think in this next year ahead, as Jupiter goes into the sign of Taurus, I absolutely think that we are going to have some currency shifts. So just be aware of that. and maybe think about how you're earning your money, because like I know with the WEF, for instance, you know, I've watched a couple of things about them and read a little bit about what they're planning. But there's the idea that we get a UBI, like a universal basic income, but we're not allowed to save it, so it resets itself each month. Now, if we're given some like pocket money, like by our parents, but we're not allowed to save it, it's keeping us in this place of having enough to survive, but not ever having enough to accrue, or having enough. Hello, I carried on like a pro.
Okay, that's amazing, because
Rather than going, oh, what
I don't
happened?
know. I'm having tech issues. My Wi-Fi just dropped out. I have no idea what happened there, but
You know what?
anyway,
It's okay.
I'm so
No,
happy you just carried on like a pro.
I was doing a live stream the other day. It looks like you're about to go again. And my son disconnected the Wi-Fi downstairs, and it was like, ah. But anyway, so what I was saying about currency, because it looks, she's very lucky that she stopped in such a beautiful position. She looks like a Grecian goddess. Nice one, Helen. You just froze, and you froze in a really beautiful position. So I was just saying about Jupiter going into the sign of Taurus. I think it's going to shake up the money systems in a big way. And I think within the year, we're going to really hear about other stuff. We've got the new moon. I'm just going to carry on. It looks like Helen's frozen again. We got the new moon.
I am
on
back.
the
I don't know if you can
Hello.
hear me, but
I can hear you. I can hear you. On the 19th, we got the new moon in the last
I have
couple of
no
degrees.
idea what's going on.
It's okay, love.
Mercury is retrograding in itself and get. Can you see?
I can carry on for as long as you want, Helen. So I can't hear you, my love. I'm going to carry on whilst this is still streaming live, okay? So yeah, the new moon on the 19th is a really positive day for a reset. It feels like things are really, really nice and really easy. So that starts to feel better and more exciting. But then the 20th, 21st, 22nd, things start to get very, very dynamic, very, very quickly. Now, the first thing that I'm a little bit concerned about, I'll be honest, is we've got Mars going into the sign of Leo, and that's cool. You know, we're going to be very motivated to be sovereign, and very motivated to be central to our own lives. So, for instance, you know, why am I saying central to our own lives? Well, it feels like in recent times there's been a narrative to kind of demote us, and that we kind of demote ourselves and remember that we're part of one group, one sort of human group. And there's almost been this feeling that if you're promoting yourself in any way, or hey Penny, um, or if you're a bit, if you're kind of wanting to thrive and you don't want to follow a narrative, it's almost like, shame on you, shouldn't be like that. So Mars going into Leo, I really see as being a time when people are really coming back into themselves. But we've got this really tricky, yes, Mercury retrograde is playing with us, Penny.
Yeah,
We've got this really
is.
aspect. We've got Mars in opposition to Pluto, and Helen, like when Mars goes in opposition to Pluto, there's some really serious attacks around the world. It's really, really unfriendly, uncharitable energy. So we've got Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, and Pluto is like the megalomaniacs at the top, or the faceless power that wants to control. You know, it's really like it wants to kill, crush, and destroy, and it doesn't care. It's not interested in the personal story behind it. It just makes decisions in a cold-hearted way, you know, which is the sort of Pluto energy. And to be fair, that energy also brings about so much compassion, because it gives us such a really strong polar view of things that we get very clear about what we stand for. So you've got Pluto on one end and you've got Mars on the other, and Mars is the will to survive. So you've got like the potential to crush and kill and destroy, and the desire to survive, and they're really, really strongly opposed to each other. I would be very I wouldn't be surprised if stuff starts happening around that time, and then the very next day when we've got Jupiter, we've got Pluto, we've got Mars. Oh my God. Like Pluto, kill, crush and destroy. Mars, I need to survive and I'll do anything to do it. And then Jupiter is like, boom, let's explode this energy everywhere. Let's let everyone hear about it. Like Jupiter was what they needed to get the pandemic, the seeds of the pandemic sown far and wide. Like Jupiter is mass media, it's TikTok, it's everything. Jupiter is also hysteria, the building of the hysteria. Jupiter is an expander, but it also inflames things. So we've got Jupiter, Pluto, and Mars in a tricky T-square together. I think that's really, really difficult. And then, you know, from the 22nd, we got the sun at 0 degrees. We got the moon at 0 degrees. To me, it just feels like things start to move and work from really from the 21st, 22nd. I think we're like swept away with some kind of hysteria. And I also feel like we're getting a clean sweep, you know, so old patterns are gone, new patterns are coming in. At some level, I'm quite excited by it and also slightly icky about it. Okay, so Mercury is definitely involved in this transmission today. So what I'm going to do is just go through the last week. Unfortunately, I can't see the comments when they come in. It's that they're managed from Helen's side. So if you are wanting to comment, please know if Helen was here, she'd be putting the comments up and we'd be responding to them. So yeah, the week of the 22nd to the 31st then. So we've got that big day on the 22nd where everything's at 0. I've called that my ground zero day. It feels like it's control at all costs. You know, it's really, really important to have that control. And then we've got some pretty dynamic aspects. So we've got a lovely sextile between the sun and Mars, which is going to give us a lot of vitality. We're definitely going to be feeling like we can charge ahead with some vigor and gusto and quite a lot of enthusiasm. Then we've got Mars and Jupiter in its fullest extent of a square. Our angers and aggressions and passions will all be maxed out. We'll be wanting to move forwards and wondering, how can I expand? So things are likely to get a little bit out of hand then. Then on the 24th, we've got some Chiron things, which make us a lot more reflective and possibly feel a bit isolated. So I would say keep connected during those times. Find ways to connect with the right people. Don't be put off. You might think, oh, they're not going to want to hear from me, but seriously, make the effort on the 24th to reach out to people, see that they're okay. There's a really great hello.
My internet just decided to just randomly completely just drop out for no reason whatsoever, and it just keeps fluctuating all the time. So thank you for being such a trooper and for carrying on regardless. I really appreciate that. Mercury's definitely messing with us today.
Yeah, he's definitely making himself felt. These are the times we're in as well, and I think it could actually get much worse. I think there's a lot going on that we might not be aware of, or many of us will be aware of. And I think when the chips are down, the powers that be will play with things like connection, because it can disable people. Like we are absolutely at the behest of it. We want our technology to work. And when it's working, we can stay connected. And when it's not working, then we have to go back to being on foot and talking to each other.
Well, you know, as you said, the powers that be, as and when they want to, they can pull the internet completely. And I feel that we're getting very close to something like that happening with what is going on in the media at the moment with regards to a certain president and his son. And I'm mentioning no names, but, you know, go figure. It's not looking very pretty. And I feel like they are more likely to perhaps pull the plug on the internet just to avoid certain things from being put out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a feeling that I get.
I do think if any damning evidence comes out about anyone that's in power, they're gonna pull that cord very quickly, aren't they? I mean, like if we had the power to hide information from being revealed about us, you know, we'd probably try and pull that trick too, wouldn't we? Like, do you imagine if you had a really bad secret?
Yeah, so I just want to take this opportunity to say I've
Yeah,
got lots
yeah.
of, no, I'm kidding. I just wanted to take this opportunity just
Mhm.
to say to you guys, if you're relying on technology or some form of data that you have on your phone, please back up, back up, back up, back up,
Yeah,
back everything up so that you're not relying on the cloud or anything like that, just in case we do have a little bit of a blip
yeah, yeah,
globally. So just putting that out there for those of you that, like me, rely on the content that I create to have access to it in the cloud and stuff like that. So just,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that's really good advice, Helen. I've already saved like 10 years worth of ephemeris so that, I can still do astrology to people offline if I need to. And I
Right.
think, I think if stuff like this does happen, it will still be the making of us, because I think when the chips are down, that's when people wake up out of any spell that they're in. Like it's
Mm,
like when we're comfortable, like we might be comfortably numb. We might feel a bit of discomfort. Oh, I'm a bit busy. Blah, blah, blah. But we're never too uncomfortable that we might wake up out of that numbness. But I think if that happens, all of a sudden, everyone's going to start talking again.
yeah.
And we will find our own currency. We'll find our own ways of exchanging. We'll
Mm.
be okay. We'll start listening to our grandmas and we'll get fantastic little cures for things. And,
Yeah, I know people have been stressing over things like the CBDC.
yeah,
Don't stress about that. There is a lot of fear mongering out there, as I
mm,
say. There's so much of it. Just take what resonates and leave whatever doesn't resonate with you.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
then, our LinkedIn user is saying MSM is not going to tell you. Listen to these ladies. Thank you, thank you so
Oh,
much.
that's very kind of you to say that. I feel horribly unprepared. All I'm sharing, I'm not really sharing from any like empirical truth, because I don't actually know where I can get empirical truth from. Most of
Mm,
it comes from my intuition.
mm,
And when I hear from people what I can and can't say, or can and can't do, or must do, or else suffer the consequences, that instinctively gets my back up. But I'm a narky Sagittarian with Scorpio rising. What else am I going to do? Sorry, when I hear that, I just think, oh, somebody doesn't want me in my power. Ooh,
Yeah, that's a fire sign thing, though, don't you think? Because I feel exactly the same way about that. But anyway, we digress. Well,
Oh, really? I'm not allowed to say what I want.
I
Okay.
know, right? I missed out so much when I had the internet blip at my end. Where are we up to? Are we week 3? Are we week 4?
We're actually in week 4 now. I'm right at the end of week 4. I'm almost at the end of May.
No, don't do this to me.
I went ahead. I'm in June. No, it's cool. I'm just saying on the 24th that we're actually needing to connect to each other. And if people are feeling a bit lonely, or if you're feeling a little bit out of sorts, connect with other people. We really need to connect. And then as we
I
get to
am
the
missing all of
25th,
that right now.
27th, as we get to the 25th and 27th, we've got some aspects to the North Node, and it feels like we're getting back on track. But we have to absolutely listen to our hearts, really listen to our guts. I think that's a big challenge right now. Our rational minds have been called forwards in these last 3 years. And our rational minds aren't that strong. They're not that great. Like, rationality makes mistakes. People go, trust the science, trust the science, trust the science. And then, oops, the science has changed. Science doesn't change. The parameters that you look at the science changes. And if you look through a dodgy parameter in the first place because you want to show a particular outcome, of course the science is going to change when you change your parameters later on down the line. You know, you have to use more than just your rational mind. And our rational minds have been pulled forwards with celebrity endorsements, MSM, all this kind of malarkey. And our instincts have just been absolutely switched off, because when we're in flight or fight or even freeze, um, You know, we can't think properly and we can't feel properly. We feel numb. And when we're feeling numb, we can't tune in and find out what's going on for us. So at the end of the month, at the end of May, I think it's time to reconnect. And it's absolutely time to feel what you feel and recognize what you feel. We need to come back into our feelings and then move from there. And that's it. Boom, done. May. We need to come back into our feelings and then move from there. That's it. Boom, done.
I'm back, apparently. Oh, you know what? A little bit. It is becoming a little bit tedious now. So I asked you the question of where we were up to. Were we at week 3, week 4? And I never got to find out.
Well, I've just done it. I finished everything now, Helen.
Okay, that moment when you missed out on your own show, that's not cool.
Do you know what? My life changed actually quite significantly when I called into a show and my then not husband, but somebody I didn't even realize I was going to connect with, it was his show and he got kicked out of his show. And I was talking to his psychic who channeled an energy called Solomon, a bit like Abraham Hicks, you know, that they channel Abraham. Yeah. And in fact, it's Granny Atkinson, the lady that showed up earlier with the Mary Poppins logo. And I said, don't worry, she's switched on. Even if she turns her phone off, she's switched on. So Granny Atkinson had a message for me from Solomon. And I'd asked, do I need to get a sperm donor to be able to become a mum? And this was like 13 years ago. And my husband, my now husband, was kicked out of his own show while she gave me the answer. It's like fate didn't want him in his show. And her answer was, you don't need to go anywhere. You don't even need to leave your house. Your husband, like the man for you, the father of your babies will find you. And it was so funny. And she said, like, we're so excited for you. You know, the sort of like plural we, that Solomon or Abraham talking. And it was like, you know, this, you'll know this person is the man for you because when he talks with you, he hears the sound of children. And it's really, really funny because he was already in my inbox. We'd already like communicated. And like when we actually had a conversation and he knew nothing about this message that had been given to me, he said, it's really funny, I can hear kids. And in the background, I was like, oh my God, it's him.
That's
and
why
then
he needed to be kicked out of his own show, right? So that it wouldn't sort of influence him in any way whatsoever. That's amazing.
He knew nothing about that. And then later on, he played his own show back, you know, once we'd met and once I was already pregnant and we were together. So yeah, sometimes being kicked out of a show could be actually beneficial to you. We've yet to see what happens, but who knows?
Yeah, I'll give you an update on the next astrology update of how that all went down. I will definitely watch it back, only to watch my face on the screen go.
Actually, you gave really good, like you were like this, and I said, "Oh, look, she looks like a Grecian goddess."
Oh, so did I freeze gracefully then?
You did, because like whenever I've done it, I've been hanging. I've been like this.
I know there have been some horrendous freeze moments for me as well. So I was like, oh no, this is not good. But yeah, honestly, guys, do you have any questions to ask before Louisa and I wrap up the show? We're coming up to that 1 hour mark. Yeah, so basically ask your questions now or forever hold your peace.
Absolutely.
And I think peace is a key word for the upcoming month of May with everything that's going on. Do whatever you can within reason, of course, and without harming anybody else to find your inner peace. If it means that you need space away from people, take that space. If you need to be a hermit for a few days or even for the rest of the month, you know, do whatever it takes. This is about you and nobody else but you. Because if you don't take the time to do the work and find your inner peace, you're not going to be able to show up for anyone else in the way that you are supposed to, you know, not the way that you're expected to. You know, people will always have expectations of you and how you're supposed to show up. Is how you're supposed to, on, you know, your own terms. So yeah, just do the inner work. If you need to get a coach, get a coach to help you with that. And if you already know what you're doing, then hey, just get on with it.
Yeah. And also, if you know what you're doing, throw someone else a bone, help them out too. Like, don't like make it your mission, but there's a lot of people crying out for help at the moment.
There is a lot of people crying out for help at the moment. And if you can help somebody else with whatever knowledge you have, or you know, whatever you can, just help them. Just be kind to each other, because you know that kindness will always come back to you in so many different ways.
Oh, I so agree with that. I really quite like, there's a website. There's this great guy who's a Course in Miracles teacher, I think. He's called Chuck Spezzano. And on his site, he's got like a 3-card, like you can like click now, like to remotely shuffle the deck, and it picks up 3 cards. Now,
Yeah.
his 3 cards, like I've tried to buy this card deck, and it rarely comes up. And when it does, it's like hundreds of pounds, you know. But I love what he's written with it. And in one of his cards, and I can't remember which one it is, but it says, if you're feeling bad about yourself, know that there is someone nearby that is hurting more than you. And I was always a bit confused about that. And he says, and help them through it. And I could never work out what he meant by that. But when I've done that, I've ended up feeling connected again. It, like, helping another person is, I think, the quickest way to feeling connected to who you are and what you're about. And so when I feel bad, I do look around, because we are in a co-creative universe, I think. So I'm always looking out, who's hurting more than I am right now? Okay. And I always learn something. And you end up coaching yourself, don't you, when you're helping?
You do. You do, because you know, the people around us are often a mirror reflection of what it is that we need to work on within ourselves, or what needs to be healed, or what needs to be moved through. So by helping other people, you are actually helping yourself, sometimes unknowingly, but you will often find that, oh, okay, that resonates. You know, so many times, I don't know about you, Louisa, but when I'm in practice and I'm you know, with my clients, and I'm helping my clients move through something, it's often something that I need to move through as well. So yes.
Always.
Interesting stuff.
I always get themes as well. Like, so tonight I'm doing that show where it's like, it could be a call-in, in fact, and I think it probably will end up being an hour, like maybe 2 hours on a Sunday at some point. But I'm going to be looking at 3 charts tonight, and each week I've now actually got a waiting list of people who want to be featured, and for me to do a little interpretation of their charts. But I always find that the people that show up, there's always a united theme between them. Either they have like a particular degree that shows up again and again, like one of their suns is the same as them, the other's moon, and this, that, and the other, or they all ask about the same subject. But whatever is coming up is always for me as well. And yeah, I laugh about it, but I shouldn't really be surprised, you know, because it happens. I'm sure anyone that works with clients really closely, as some kind of coach, you know, because I think that's where we really find out what's going on for people.
Yeah.
We'll all be nodding, going, oh yeah.
Yes, indeed. We have 2 minutes left of the show, Louisa. Is there anything that you would like to say to our audience before we very quickly close out?
Okay. You're not alone. You're not mad. You're not wrong. You're not, you weren't built wrong. The world is just in a transformation right now. And if you want to hang out, and if you want to chat with like-minded people, and if you want a little bit of support, then I've got my Feel Good Astrology show that's on 6 till 6:30, Monday to Thursday. And then there's a big Sunday sort of wrap up. But I'm also putting on a lot of forecasts. So I'm going to be talking more about the Moon and Pluto in opposition, which I mentioned briefly today as being really awful, really sucky. But I'm going to compare it to some of the other times when Moon and Pluto were in opposition, so that you've got something to compare it to. I am going to do a coronation episode as well, in case you're interested. You might not be. I'm not terribly interested, but I'm fascinated from an astrologer's perspective. Yeah, and so just stay in touch if you like our vibe, me and Helen. And if you like me and it's the first time you've come across me, then please do subscribe to my channel. It's Feel Good Astrology on YouTube. I'd be really happy to have another subscriber and somebody else to sort of interact with in the chat rooms. There you go. But just carry on being you. Be thoroughly your best self, and have the best month ahead that you can.
Yes, absolutely. I want to take this opportunity to thank Louisa for joining us on the show today. As usual, your insights are very, very helpful. And also, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank all of our viewers and listeners for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully, you will join us on the next astrology update.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be doing some live shows on across all my social media during the next couple of weeks. And please feel free to join me. And of course, do feel free to go and join Louisa on her social media channels as well. And I'm sure we'll be putting all the links everywhere that you are going to be watching or listening to the show.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you once again, Helen.
Yeah, it was an amazing show, much of which I didn't even take part of, but yeah. It was super amazing. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you in the next show.
All right. Lots of love to you all. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.